Have you ever had someone try to take something that belongs to you? Something you worked hard for? Something that's legally yours? Well, that's exactly what happened to me when my HOA president showed up at my door with the most outrageous demand I'd ever heard. What started as a peaceful Saturday morning coffee turned into a 2-year legal battle that would change our entire neighborhood forever. And folks, if you think you've heard crazy HOA stories before, you haven't heard anything yet. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. I'm Richard, by the way. Been living in this neighborhood for over 15 years. I'm sitting on my front porch, enjoying my morning coffee, watching the birds, thinking life is pretty good. Then I hear it, the unmistakable sound of high heels clicking on concrete, getting closer and closer. And there she is, Barbara. Now, Barbara wasn't just any neighbor. She was the HOA president, and she ruled our little community like she owned every blade of grass. She walks right up to my porch, clipboard in hand, wearing this smile that made my stomach turn. "Morning, Richard," she says, sweet as pie. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" "Sure is, Barbara. What brings you by?" Her smile gets wider, and that's when I knew I was in trouble. "Well, Richard, I'm here about your gate. I installed this gate 3 years ago. Beautiful wrought iron, county approved, sits right at the entrance to my driveway. It's not blocking anyone, not hurting anyone. It's just there, protecting my property." "What about my gate?" I ask. "The board had a meeting last week," she says, consulting her clipboard like it's the Constitution. "We've decided your gate needs to come down." I nearly dropped my coffee mug. Come down. Why on earth would I take down my gate? "Well, Richard," she says, and here's where it gets crazy. "Folks, we've determined that your driveway could serve as an alternative route. For the community, the cul-de-sac gets congested, especially during peak hours. Our property provides direct access to the main road, and frankly, it's selfish to keep it all to yourself." Did you hear that? She wanted me to tear down my gate so my neighbors could drive through my driveway whenever they felt like it. "Barbara," I said, trying to keep my voice calm, "this is my property. My driveway leads to my house, my garage. It's not a public road." "Richard," she says, adjusting those glasses of hers, "sometimes we need to think about what's best for the community as a whole. Surely you understand that." "No, Barbara, I don't understand." And the answer is no. The mask came off real quick then. That sweet smile turned into a cold stare. "Richard, if you refuse to comply, there will be consequences. Daily fines, starting at $250. Then I guess you better get comfortable writing those fines," I told her, "because that gate isn't going anywhere." She stormed off my porch, muttering under her breath about difficult residents and people who don't understand community spirit. Folks, what happened next was nothing short of harassment. Within a week, I started getting these bright red envelopes in my mail, big bold letters across the top. Violation notice. $250 for obstruction of community access. The next week, $500. Then $750. They were bleeding me dry over my own driveway. But the fines weren't the worst part. One evening I'm watching TV when I hear voices outside. I peek through my blinds and there are 2 board members at my gate, not just looking at it, but actually trying to mess with the lock. I threw on my shoes and marched outside. "Excuse me, what do you think you're doing?" One of them, Bob, I think his name was, jumps back like he'd been caught stealing. "Oh, hey, Richard. We're just, checking to make sure your gate was secure, for security purposes. Security purposes. At 9 o'clock at night, get off my property now. They scattered like roaches when you turn on the lights." But Barbara wasn't done. Oh no. She was just getting started. Asterisk. 2 months into this nightmare, I'm in my garage when I hear car doors slamming. I walk outside, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Barbara's standing in my driveway with 2 sheriff's deputies. She's waving a stack of papers, like she's holding a royal decree. "Officers," she announces dramatically, "this man is in criminal violation of HOA regulations. He's been ignoring board directives for months." One of the deputies, nice young man, looks at me apologetically. "Sir, we got a call about a property dispute." I took a deep breath. "Officer, there's no dispute. This woman wants me to tear down my gate so my neighbors can drive through my private driveway whenever they want. That's it. The deputy blinked. Come again? I went inside and got my property deed, complete with survey maps showing exactly where my land begins and ends. Here you go, officer. My property line, my driveway, my gate, all legal, all permitted by the county 3 years ago. The second deputy looked at the papers, then at Barbara, then back at me. Ma'am, he said to Barbara, unless you have a court order, we can't force this man to remove anything from his own property. Barbara's face turned red as a fire truck. But it's for the good of the community. He's being selfish. Ma'am, the deputy interrupted. It doesn't matter. This is private property. After they left, Barbara turned to me with pure hatred in her eyes. You'll regret this, Richard. You have no idea who you're messing with. Well, folks, Barbara was right about one thing. She wasn't done with me yet. The HOA tried to put a lien on my house. They sent threatening letters weekly. They even put a nasty article in the community newsletter about certain residents who refused to cooperate with neighborhood improvement efforts. But here's what they didn't know. While they were busy trying to destroy my life, I was talking to lawyers. I found a good one. Real sharp fellow who specialized in property law and HOA abuse cases. When I showed him everything, the fines, the attempted lien photos I'd taken of board members on my property, he actually laughed. Mr. Dawson, he said, this HOA has stepped in it big time. They're trying to steal your private property for their convenience. It's not just overreach, it's potentially illegal. We're going to file a countersuit. The court case took 8 months. 8 long months of depositions, paperwork, and stress. But finally, we got our day in court. Asterisk. The day of the hearing, that courtroom was packed. Half the neighborhood showed up, some supporting me, others supporting the HOA. Barbara came dressed like she was going to a funeral, carrying a briefcase bigger than she was. When it was the HOA's turn to present their case, their lawyer argued that my driveway should be considered community access for the greater good. Then my lawyer stood up. He presented the deed, the county permits, photos of board members trespassing on my property, the illegal fines, the attempted lien. But the best part? When Barbara took the witness stand, Your Honor, she said, getting more worked up with every word, that driveway is just sitting there. It's wasted space if only one family uses it. The entire community could benefit. The judge, bless his heart, leaned forward and asked the question that ended it all. Mrs. Barbara, are you seriously telling this court that your homeowners association believes it has the right to seize a resident's private property without compensation, simply because you think it would be convenient? Barbara stammered, "WL, it's for the neighborhood good." Ma'am, the judge said, that is not how property rights work in America. When that gavel came down, folks, it was the sweetest sound I'd ever heard. Asterisk. Not only did I win the case, but the court ordered the HOA to pay all my legal fees, over $12,000. Every single fine they'd imposed was thrown out. And here's the cherry on top. The court issued a permanent injunction preventing them from ever interfering with my gate or driveway again. But the real justice? When word spread about what the HOA board had done, wasting thousands of dollars in community funds trying to steal my driveway, the neighborhood erupted. At the next election, Barbara and her entire crew were voted out by the biggest landslide in our community's history. The new board president, Mark, came over a week later with a plate of his wife's homemade chocolate chip cookies. Richard, he said, shaking my hand on behalf of everyone, I'm sorry for what you went through. Gate is yours. Keep it locked. Keep it open. Whatever makes you happy. Nobody's going to bother you about it ever again. You know what I learned from all this? Sometimes standing up to bullies, even ones with official titles and clipboards, is the hardest thing you'll ever do. But it's also the most important. Every time I hear that gate click shut behind me now, it reminds me that in America, your property rights still mean something, that you can't let people push you around, even if they claim it's for the greater good. If you're dealing with an overzealous HOA or any organization trying to take what's rightfully yours, document everything. Get legal help. And remember, you have rights, and those rights are worth fighting for. Barbara thought she could intimidate me into giving up my property. Instead, she lost everything, her power, her position, and her reputation, and me. Still at my gate, my driveway, and most importantly, my freedom. What do you think? Have you ever had to deal with an out-of-control HOA? Share your stories. In the comments below, I read every single one. And if this story reminded you that it's worth standing up for what's right, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about ordinary people fighting back against injustice. Until next time, folks, keep those gates locked and your property rights protected.